think that there are a lot of people that are frustrated with the medical profession at large,
Sure.
doctors and nurses and at hospitals,
Sure.
pharmaceutical companies. They just don't know that there's any other option. It's like, well,
There's
what do I
lack of
do?
education.
I go to the doctor.
Yes.
That's the only option, right? So I think, providing people with other options that you're like, oh, there's other stuff you can do to actually kind of take matters in your own hands,
right,
and actually help yourself.
Hi guys, this is Alvir, and I have here Justin Vidito. He is a patient of mine, and he's okay with me saying that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
100% okay with that.
Justin, if you could just tell us, our audience, I guess, how we met.
Yeah, so in February of this year, end of February, I was climbing a rope for exercise, and it's about 25, 30 foot up, and the rope broke, as you well know, and I fell, landed on a rock, and broke my back in several places. As well, I broke both my wrists. So that was the start of the fun part. And then for the next hour and a half, I crawled through frozen mud puddles to where my wife could eventually hear me. Light flighted me to Danville, which is about 3 hours away from here. And, did an emergency surgery on my back, wrists, everything else. And then I want to say after I got out of the hospital, it was about a month or so after that I found you. And we discussed the peptides and started doing that. And, I can honestly say that I can't imagine where I would be now. And we were at 7 months now, a little over 7 months. And I just the speed at which I recovered from the time I started with you taking peptides, it's just been astronomical. I can't imagine where I would be right now at 7 months if that had not happened. I could very easily see being still at month 3 or month 4,
Which is the typical.
Right.
Typical.
But yeah, I mean, I think, before, the big thing for me was I've been on TRT for a while. And so the provider that I had for TRT at the time was somewhere down in Florida. It was all online. And they offered peptides as well. But for me, the big thing was I wanted an actual human being that I could talk to physically and trust what they're telling me.
Sure.
And so I'm not just putting random stuff, in random places. Also somebody can make, just a ridiculous amount of money.
Sure.
And so that was the interpersonal part was huge for me as well. And then, as soon as I met you, it was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely the person that I want to be able to trust for this. So, yeah, I mean, I think, at the time, I had kind of thought about, had heard about peptides or whatever, and kind of thought about the idea of getting on it, but I just had no idea what to take, how to do it, any of that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And so that was huge for me to be able to have, you in person walk me through all that, not only being providing the stuff,
sure,
but walking me through what it is, how it works, all that kind of stuff. That was huge.
Absolutely. Now, just a little background. Justin isn't just atypical. He was just climbing rope. He was actively training. Because tell us just a little bit of history, please.
Yeah, so I spent about 17 years in the Army. Was a sniper for most of that. I've been out of the Army for 11 years now. And after I got out, I have just led a weird, weird life. I've got fingers.
Eccentric.
Yeah, eccentric is the word. But yeah, I've just kind of never decided what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I just
You
do
have
all
time.
sorts of. So yeah. So I was on a survival TV show. I train everything from civilians to law enforcement to military on everything from long range shooting to survival to pistol carbine, you name it. If if it has anything to do with any of that stuff, I probably have taught it at one point. And so at the time in February, I was actually training to do a shooting competition with a buddy of mine. And so that was kind of part of the reason why I was climbing the rope. But it's just one of those things, like, for whatever reason, I've always enjoyed climbing ropes. Is doing it my whole time in the Army, and then everywhere I've ever been after the Army, which we moved around a lot, but I always put a rope up and and climb it. But yeah, so I think there's a there's a part of that kind of stuff, like you don't really know how you're going to react to a situation until you're in it.
Sure.
And I think a lot of the things that I've done in the past, the former lifetimes that I've had,
Yes.
have like really served me well in that moment,
Sure.
However, there's things that the mind can take control of and get you through emergency situations, and there's things that you can train yourself to do,
Yes.
and so that you're making good decisions when you're tired or hungry or hurt or whatever. But after all that's said and done, the body still has a lot of limitations that, at least to my knowledge, you can't just think about it.
Yes, and make it happen.
Maybe one day we'll get there, but
One
as
day.
far as I know, there's only a certain amount of that actually works. So
Sure.
and that's one of the probably the biggest amazement to me of what the peptides actually do, of sending those signals to your body and say, hey, we need to heal this thing like now, like not when you get around to it, like not after this thing that's been going on for 10 years and you still haven't got around to healing
Right.
that, but like we need to heal that now, and so like I think that there's a lot of taboo or
Stigma.
this stigma,
Yeah.
about some of these things, and same with TRT.
Still.
There's been a huge stigma with TRT, and I think that that's now starting to kind of dissolve.
Dissipate, yeah.
It's starting to dissolve a little bit, but I think for a lot of people, if they just had that conversation and figured out what is this thing and what does it actually do, instead of going off some preconceived notion or what they think it does,
Saw,
you
or
know
what
what I mean?
they heard, I guess.
Yeah, I think that would go a long way, because I think there's a lot of people out there that they're not living a life that is at its highest potential, and they're not enjoying life to its highest potential. And a lot of that nowadays it's what we eat, it's our lack of
100%.
physical activity, it's
100%.
this, that, and the other thing,
Sure.
And a lot of that stuff is hard to get around, like you can only do so much,
Sure.
And yeah, I think that there's a lot of people that with, just getting their hormone levels checked, just getting all that stuff,
Sure.
and then taking a smart approach to, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to fix this stuff? What do I need to do in order to get back at that level to where, I can do the things that I want to do, and for me personally, I work out, I do all these other things,
Yes.
but like that's all that stuff is so that I can enjoy my life in the way that I want to enjoy it, and like yesterday, I was thinking about this, yesterday I'm out on the road,
Yeah.
with my daughter on her bike,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like,
You're out on the road with your daughter
right,
while she's riding a bike.
right.
And you're not
I'm
that far out
right.
from surgery.
You know, and I'm like, I'm 7 months now.
It's not.
Right?
It wasn't that long.
Right. You know, and so like I'm able to be here for my daughter.
Sure.
I'm able to do dad stuff.
Right.
You know, and there's a lot of people that I think in a similar situation would still be sitting on the couch all day, every day, because they think their life is over, because they broke their back.
Right.
You know, like it doesn't have to be that way. You know, and then when you have, you have other instances of people with relatively minor injury, like we were just talking
Yeah,
about,
sure.
relatively minor injuries
Yes.
that get exacerbated because they don't know how to heal them, or they don't have that information.
They don't.
Or they're not getting told that information from a reputable source.
Sure.
And, you know, you get everything from, you know, basically getting addicted to the drugs that they get on to,
For pain management.
for pain management that, you know, started out as pain management for a month and then became, you know,
More
10
chronic.
years.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, and then depression sets in.
I was going to say, yeah.
You know, all these different
Then
things.
you incur
know?
all these medications
Right.
because of said minor injury.
Right. And then before you know it, you know, you're like, where did these last however many years go?
Sure.
You know, and this is my life now. You know, and I think that's the thing for me. I think that I've tried to tell people more and more about is like you can always like start over. You know, like you can always choose a different path. You know what I mean? Just because you've been doing X, Y, or Z,
Sure.
if you're not happy, if you're not feel like you're living a fulfilled life,
Yes.
do something about it.
Yes. Do something
Don't just
about
sit there
it.
and complain about it.
Correct.
Like do something about it. And if you don't know what to do, try to find
Find
somebody
someone.
that does. You know what I mean? Because like, and you know, with that stigma and everything else that we were talking about, it is refreshing now because people are starting to talk about it. You know, people are starting to talk about this stuff.
Yes.
You know, and that was the thing, you know, about the peptides. Like,
Yes.
you know, Westside Barbell and those dudes, they've been doing this stuff for 30
It's
years.
been around
it's,
for a
it's not
while.
like, it's not like this is
new.
brand new.
I mean, insulin is a peptide.
Right.
Insulin is
Right.
a peptide, but not many people. I don't even think diabetics themselves know that what they're taking
No.
is a peptide.
No.
Weight loss peptides
Yeah.
have been around. I mean, we're talking about weight loss management, bariatric surgery. They have been prescribing peptides for a while.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, since COVID hit and
Yeah.
obesity is now this bad thing, and
Right.
obesity has always been bad.
Right.
But all of a sudden, because there's a link, obese people, unhealthy people are more likely to die from.
Yep.
Now, semaglutide, tirzepatide,
Right.
all these weight loss peptides have gotten their limelight of,
Yep.
oh, we're new and shiny.
Yep.
They've actually been around for a while.
Right. Yeah, and I think for I think with a lot of the stuff, there's like some of the stigma I think came from bodybuilding, quite honestly, because you know it was very obvious I think to the layperson that okay, this person is taking something crazy. Right?
Because they look like Adonis.
Well, and I think the size, you know, especially like when it kind of got into like the 90s, early 2000s, like
Sure.
the size got astronomically bigger. Like these guys weren't like Arnold Schwarzenegger, where you're like, okay, yeah, like with good genetics, whatever, like you can
With
accomplish
hard
this,
work.
right? It's like, okay, this is a literal monster. Like this is not an actual human being, right?
Sure.
And so, like, I think that kind of put this idea of like anything injectable is bad. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
it
It's like
demonized.
these
It
dudes are
yes.
their heart's gonna stop when they're 50. You know that
Sure.
that kind of stuff. You
Sure.
know, and so like there's an element of truth to that because you can abuse literally anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can abuse this table if you
Yes.
want to, or you know, like,
Tylenol.
like,
Tylenol.
right? Like water,
Ibuprofen or
water.
whatever.
Like literally,
Yes,
you can
water,
drink
you
too
can
much
drown.
water,
You can
right?
drown.
Like you literally die from
Yes.
drinking too much water.